Hey folks, my name is Elia Bizzarri and I'm a Windsor chair maker here in Hillsborough, North Carolina. I wanted to show you today a little bit about making and using dowel plates. Dowel plates are basically, in this case, a piece of 1/4 inch thick tool steel that has a hole drilled in it the size of the joint that you want to make. So this is a cross-sectional view like that of the dowel plate, and this is the top of it, so you're going to drive the tenon in that way. I have relieved the sides of that joint a little bit with a reamer the sides of the dowel plate a little bit with a reamer so that the tenon doesn't drag on the dowel plate as it goes through, and then I've countersunk it a little bit from the bottom, or quite a bit from the bottom, so you know which way to drive it from, and also so that it doesn't drag down there. For a long time I used tenon cutters that I make like this to cut this joint. I never was really satisfied. If the joint was quite a bit oversized, you get a lot of tearing and you wouldn't really know it till after you were done. And so recently I've switched to these dowel plates. They are a scraping action, so they don't take an enormous amount of wood off, but they always stay the same size unless you file them, which you can do. And they rarely need sharpening. I have some that I've used for 10 years that have never been resharpened. And so that I think this is a better way to cut these joints. So in practice, what I do is I take a wrench or a calipers or something that's just maybe a 32nd oversized from the size of joint you want. So in this case, I'm making roughly a 5/16 joint, so this is a 32nd over that. And while the piece is octagonal, I'll spoke shave it to where it slips over on all those octagonal facets, like that, and then I'll make it round. Then I need to pencil point the end, so you can take a spoke shave and do that. Just roll it around your fingers. That works fine, or I just discovered a pencil sharpener works great, so you can stick it in there and kind of cut your joint. Well, actually, what I'm doing is cutting a bevel on the end so it'll register on this. And then this is ready to go now, but I need to have a holder. Well, I don't have to have a holder, but it's handy to have a holder for this dowel plate. So here's a little mock-up of it. Basically what I did was make a recess, in this case 1.5" diameter, with a drill bit so that the dowel plate just slips in there like that, and then I bored all the way through with, say, a 13/16 bit, and then just cut with the bandsaw a slot in the end. And you'll see what the slot's for in a minute. So you can put the dowel plate in there, you put your tenon in there. If you've got a long piece, you may want to hold it fairly close. You can break these things. I've only ever seen it happen once, but it is possible. So holding it closer to the dowel plate and then driving on through. Usually I would have a line on this that was where the bottom of the bow hits the spindle. But drive it down to that and then flip it over. And this is where having that slot is handy. You can just slip it in there and drive it on out. Sometimes you need something to stick in there and drive it out with. A driver bit for a drywall screw works good, or a glue spreader or something, but some way to get it out. So it leaves a little bit of a shoulder, obviously, that you can either leave, as I would on my center spindles, or spoke shave it off. It leaves a fairly clean joint, and it works well. Where was that going? So I have two sizes of these things that I'm making at the moment. There's a 5/16 one that you could use for a brad point bit or an auger bit. Auger bits actually vary about 20 thousandths of an inch, depending on who made them and when they made it and how they were feeling that day. So you actually have to. These dowel plates are 01 tool steel, so they're fairly hard, but they're soft enough you can file them. So making sure you undercut it a little bit, you can enlarge the hole in there, trying to keep it round still until it fits your bit. I also make a dowel plate that's 3/10 of an inch, a weird size, but it fits these micro bits. This is called a Craig jig micro bit. it's great. You can use it high speed or with a bit brace for boring all these holes in these bows or whatever. It doesn't tend to tear out when you're boring at quite a steep angle. But it is 3/10 of an inch, so I have a dowel plate that matches it. All right, that's what I wanted to show you today. Thanks for coming to visit my shop, and hope to see you down the road.